I was born in Chicago, Illinois, on the South Side. My family has always been pretty rooted in Chicago. But in terms of my immediate nuclear family with my parents and my brothers, we've lived everywhere, lived a lot of places. So I lived in Chicago, Madison, Wisconsin, New York City, Los Angeles, back to New York City, Washington, D.C., back to Los Angeles, and then settled in Chicago. So, it's an interesting city to drive through because you can all of a sudden feel like you're in, you can be in Ukrainian Village and feel like you're in that kind of place. And then the next moment you can drive and be literally in a Mexican community that's 200,000 people strong. It's really kind of a fun, vibrant place. I travel all the time for my work. And when I travel, what's fun about it is that because I'm doing it for filmmaking, I don't necessarily go to like the tourist places. I'm usually going to immerse myself with a family or a subject, and I get to actually see a real part of that kind of life. I've never had the chance to base myself overseas, except for a little bit of time when I first got out of college, and I did more sort of I did films in war zones, and sometimes I would be places like 8, 9 months or a year. The documentary film program is what brought me to North Carolina and Wake Forest. Sandy Dixon and Cara Bilson and Cindy Hill, I used to work with them a little bit at Florida, and they sort of wrangled me in. I had taught master classes for 30 years on cinematography and directing, and so it was one of those things where I really wanted to give it a try. Chicago really is this crazy cultural hodgepodge. It's a great city. I mean, it's, in terms of theater, music, anything you want to see, do, eat, whatever, it's there for you. And pretty much 24 hours a day, which is why I love it. I mean, the lakefront is pretty amazing in Chicago. Most people think of it being in the Midwest, that you're not by water. It's normal, but we actually are, basically it's an inland sea, Lake Michigan. So the whole city is on the lakefront, and it's pretty amazing. And what's nice about the lakefront is everybody in the city uses it. It's like the place where everybody mixes. My father was actually born in Russia, but came to the United States when he was 6 weeks old. Because my family came from persecution on both sides, I guess I grew up in an era where they felt as though it was their responsibility from where they came from to make sure that there were certain freedoms in the U.S. They always were social issue based, so that's why I am who I am today. I do feel like I belong to Chicago. It's like my city, that feeling of like you feel like you own it. I feel that because I have an incredibly strong work community there. Recently, I went to a memorial service for one of the people who was my mentors. And it was fascinating because I walked into this room and there were like 250 to 300 people who actually helped form me. And it's unique that you can say that about a place. I mean, these were people who helped me get jobs, who helped, who knew my family, who, took a risk with me and my vision and my talent and all that stuff. And it was just this overwhelming feeling of community. It's still that place that for me, I walk, the second I get off the plane, I feel home. It's a definite feeling like this is my place.